changes first. It slips through the curtains in a softer way than it did an hour ago. The gold turns to pale gray. The room grows still without announcing it. A clock hums quietly on the wall. The refrigerator clicks on in the kitchen. Somewhere outside, a car door shuts and drives away. Inside, the evening settles into its familiar shape. A lamp glows beside the armchair. The cushion carries the gentle imprint of someone who has sat there every night for years. A folded newspaper rests on the table, unread past the first page. A cup of tea cools more quickly than expected. The house is not empty. It simply sounds different now. There was a time when evenings arrived with motion. The front door would open and close. Footsteps crossed the hallway. A voice would drift from the kitchen asking what sounded like small, ordinary questions. Did you remember the milk? Are you still reading that same article? Come sit. It's getting dark. Back then, the light felt warmer, or maybe it was the laughter that made it so. The clink of plates, the low murmur of the television. Neither of you were really watching. The way two people could sit in the same room doing different things, yet never feel alone. There were habits only the two of you understood. She always adjusted the curtains just before sunset, saying it kept the chill out. You always pretended not to notice, though you watched her do it every evening. She had a certain way of folding blankets. You had a certain way of clearing your throat before speaking. These small rituals were invisible to the rest of the world, but they were everything. Evenings used to feel like a bridge. The busy hours behind you, the quiet rest ahead. A time to talk about the day, to replay small annoyances and small victories, to sit close enough that your shoulders touched without thinking about it. The world outside could be loud, but inside there was a shared rhythm. Now the rhythm has changed. It didn't happen all at once. There was no dramatic moment where silence suddenly filled the room. It came slowly. First, the hospital visits, then the rearranging of furniture to make space, then the long nights that felt heavy but hopeful. Afterward, the house stayed exactly as it was. And that was the hardest part. Her shoes remained by the door for weeks. The scent of her lotion lingered in the bathroom cabinet, or her favorite chair faced the window, still angled slightly toward yours. You told yourself not to move anything yet. Evenings became something different then. The television stayed off more often. The kitchen grew quieter. Meals became simpler. A sandwich instead of a shared dinner. One plate instead of two. You found yourself listening, not for a sound in particular, just listening. The clock ticked louder than you remembered. The wind against the window carried more weight. Even the refrigerator seemed to hum with a kind of company, mechanical but present. Time stretched in a new way. You began to notice details you never had before. The way the sunlight fades from the corner of the carpet, the faint creak in the hallway floorboard, the way the air cools exactly at dusk. Sometimes you catch yourself turning slightly, ready to say something. A comment about the news, a small joke about the neighbor's barking dog. The words form, then dissolve. There's a particular kind of quiet in these evenings. It is not sharp. It does not shout. It rests gently on your shoulders, like a familiar coat that feels both comforting and heavy. You walk through rooms that hold decades of life. Photographs line the walls. A younger version of both of you smiling at the camera. Holidays, birthdays, ordinary afternoons that once seemed too small to matter. Now, they glow softly in their frames. You sit in the armchair as you always have. The lamp casts a circle of warm light. Outside, the sky deepens into blue. A distant dog barks. A television flickers in a neighbor's window. There are moments when the loneliness rises quietly. It is not dramatic. It is not overwhelming. It is simply there. It sits beside you like a silent guest. But something else sits there too. Memory. And memory has a warmth of its own. You can still hear the tone of her voice, not every word, but the feeling behind it. You remember the way she would reach for your hand without looking, the way she would sigh at the end of a long day and lean back, trusting the quiet. In these evenings, you realize that love does not vanish with absence. It changes form. It becomes softer, less visible, more internal. The house may feel still, but it is filled with echoes of shared years. Every corner carries something that was built together. Every drawer holds a story. There is a strange balance in this season of life. Peace and loneliness, sitting side by side. You have learned how to make your tea just the way you like it. You know which light switch to leave on for comfort. You have grown familiar with your own thoughts. Sometimes the quiet allows you to notice things that once slipped by. The sound of rain on the roof, the rhythm of your own breathing, the gentle way evening settles without asking permission. There is strength in that, not loud strength, not the kind that announces itself, but the quiet endurance of someone who has loved deeply and continues on. And perhaps that is what these evenings truly are, not empty spaces, but spaces reshaped. The loneliness you feel does not mean you failed. It does not mean you are weak. It means there was once a connection strong enough to leave an imprint. If you find yourself sitting in a dimly lit room, listening to the hum of the house, you are not unusual. Many men sit just like that. A folded newspaper on the table, a cup cooling beside them, a photograph nearby that holds more than 1,000 words. There is no need to rush this feeling away. It is allowed to exist. It is allowed to be tender. You are allowed to miss her in the quiet. You are allowed to smile at a memory and feel a sting at the same time. Evenings now may be slower, but they are not meaningless. They are filled with reflection, with gratitude, with the steady understanding that love once lived here fully. And in some ways, it still does. Oh, the lamp continues to glow. The sky outside fades tonight. The clock moves forward, steady and patient. You sit back in your chair. You breathe. The house is quiet, yes, but it is also familiar. And in that familiarity, there is a kind of comfort, a reminder that you shared something rare, a reminder that the quiet does not erase the years. It simply holds them gently. And as the evening settles completely, you realize something soft but steady. You are still here, still remembering, still loving, and even in the hush of a dimly lit room, that love remains, quiet, steady, and warm.